Hey, Steve Zellnart here with Remax Experts, Zellnart Associate. Happy Monday morning. Just a quick update on the market right now. Inventory, as we were talking last week, has definitely started to spike. We're at 8,438 units, so up another 4% since last week. So last week we were at 17 and change, so 17,741. Now we're up to 18,438, so another 4%. So the last 2 weeks we've up 8% in inventory, just like that. Sold properties 1,081 units. So again, a little bit of a dip on sales, but still pretty high considering. But like we were saying, you're going to see ultimately this inventory keep rising, and when we get to let's say next month, we're going to have a lot of people start dumping inventory on the market because that's considered the spring market in May. So we should be getting to 21,000, I would imagine, at that point into June, and we'll see like a big spike of inventory. June's sort of going to level out. We won't see that much listings coming in because school years are finishing. Parents are more focused on the kids finishing school, so we won't have any inventory dump. And then ultimately, once the school's done, a lot of the parents that were more worried about their kids, disturbance in school are going to be dumping properties at that time. So we'll have another jump. We might get to 22,000 units, to be honest, by let's say summertime, and then you'll see. It's so cyclical. Then you'll start seeing a drop off in inventory by August into September, and then we'll see that market rise. We should still be very consistent going into the let's say spring, summer months. Usually we're people that don't buy or sell houses during like the high season usually come out of the woodwork, start looking at properties and start buying and selling. It depends on the person rather, or the couple that are looking to buy and sell. They kind of like more of like a chilled, more time to think environment, and that's going to bring, let's say, June, July, August type buyers and sellers to the market. So we'll keep it going there. Big topic, capital gains. I didn't. Obviously, we knew that there was a big change in capital gains. I didn't want to get involved with it just yet. I just want to do a little bit of research before we started talking, and everyone kind of posted. I want to talk about, and I'll bring in. I'm going to bring in. See if I can share a screen here. Yeah, here. Let's just lower this down. We're going to kill this. We're going to pull in this big unit here. And so this is the history of our capital gains, and everyone's panicking, which it is a panic. We're starting to get calls from clients and friends, and also hearing the groups of people chatting of screw Canada, let's go Florida. We're hearing a lot of this right now, where a lot of people want to migrate and move out of Canada. Based on obviously taxations. We talked about this in 2022. If you go back to anything I was talking about, Canada is going to be a very dead place in the near future. We don't see any more economic growth. And then, last couple of weeks, we saw a report coming out that has not been any economic growth in the last 7 years in Canada, which is horrendous. And just taxation just keeps getting higher and higher and higher. So just remember, the less money you have, the less you can think. The more money you have, the more time you think. The more time you think, the better decisions you're going to make. That's just reality. So keep that into consideration. But let's look at capital gains now. This is the history, let's say, from 85. So in 1985, we had 50% capital gains. So that means if you made $100,000, 50% of that gain is going to be taxed on your current income taxation. So if you're a 30% taxation, then 50% of that value, so $50,000 will get taxed at 30% of your income bracket. So that's how that works. Not like they just cut it in half. It's kind of gets distilled further. So if you look here, 85 is 50%. Then we go from 85 to 88, we're at 50%, and then 88 to 89, we go to 66.6666%, which we're currently at right now. And then we get to 90 to 99. Look at this; it's at 75%. And then this right here, the IR, I did a research. It's something of irregular ratio, something like that. So this brought it back down to 66%. And then ultimately, what we had the last 22 years was 50% gain. And I just want to look. We got to look at the prime ministers here. And these are my buddies. This is the conservative group. So these guys introduced this gain here. If you kind of look, 88 to 89 was basically, well, let's look at, 88 to 89. That's going to be Maroney, right? And then there was a big shift here from 90 to 99. So let's see who that was. So she had a very short stint. So this was the Chrétien. So Brian Mulroney jacked it up to 66.6%. This obviously, I don't know what happened here. There was something that happened. I don't know if there was some fraud or something. Anyway, so she came in, stepped in for a few months as the prime minister. And then ultimately, like John Chrétien from 93 to 99 had the rate to 75%. And then in 2000, who's 2000? 2000 would still be John Chrétien. So he reduced it at that point back to what would be considered the 66%. Then 01 would have still been Chrétien. So he dropped it down because he was in power for 10 years, and he dropped it down to what we have now at that 50% ratio. So just to kind of give you like a little history lesson there too. So again, the Conservative Party pumped that up at 66 points. The Liberal Party jacked it up to 75%, and now currently we're at 66.6%. What we're seeing now is basically a lot of people that weren't in the market are trying to sell their investment properties, something they've held on to for a while. A lot of these people want to sell this and move the money across border into the U.S., and a lot of calls are coming in regarding Florida right now, where people want to put kind of stash money, kind of hold it. Obviously, we don't have no state income tax. Capital gain laws are insanely good for an investor. Capital lives here in Florida. It's a great place to invest. Clearly, this is why we made the egress in 2020. 2022, we saw down the pipe, a little bit in the future. Again, we had a lot of time to think about the current market and the conditions of Canada just based on, obviously, COVID lockdowns and everything like that. We kind of looked at Canada as a whole, just kind of look at it like, is this the right place for the future? Because it gave us a good go the last. My parents immigrated in 1968. We did well. They did well. My dad was just a carpenter, had a small crew. He did extremely well for what output he was doing. Gave us an opportunity. We did well through construction and also real estate sales and also investing. And now ultimately, where do we want to spend the next 40 years and roll that money? And it obviously looks always better here in the U.S. Capitalism lives in this country. Especially in these Republican states like Florida. So if you are looking to sell assets in Canada and move them to Florida, we got both ends of you. Clearly, we have an office now in Woodbridge, Central Woodbridge location, so we can definitely sell your assets in Canada and move that money across to Florida. So you have both sides of that spectrum where we'll be hands-on in Canada and hands-on in Florida. But if you have any questions, please reach out. You can reach me at 647-962-4372. Have a great day.